What's up YouTube, it's Elliot here from Neanderthal Fitness, www.neanderthalfit.com, personal trainer, fitness instructor and YouTube fitness representative. So this is the third time I've started filming this video because I don't want to do any editing, so I'm trying to cut out, I keep saying and shit like that. So I'll probably say it a few times because I'm not going to film it again, so apologies in advance. But here we go. So first things first, I apologise. Didn't upload on Sunday. Sunday was a celebration day for my other half's birthday, so I couldn't really get away and leave her to come and do a video. So I'm uploading 2 videos for you today to make up for the one that missed. So the first one is healthy eating on a budget, or how to bulk on a budget, how to cut on a budget. So let's cover the 2 basics straight off the bat, no faffing around. Number 1, bulking. What do we know about bulking? Alright, we know that we need to be in a calorific surplus, so we need more calories than we need to maintain our body weight to increase our body weight. We know that we need enough protein for optimum muscle growth, we need enough fat for optimum hormone levels, and then we need carbs to fill in the gap. So realistically, carbohydrates for most people, especially skinny people, will be about 50%. Why? 50% of your macro breakdown, and why that is because you need, now there is controversy on this, I will grant you that, so don't necessarily take what I say as gospel, and don't do any research of your own. This is what I live by, and this is actually what Arnold Schwarzenegger suggested. This is also what most of the old classic bodybuilders suggested. They didn't do any more than this. So 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, not lean body weight, none of that shit. Nobody cares about that. If you're getting enough for your weight as you are, then you're getting enough protein. And if you're skinny, you're majority lean body weight anyway, so don't even worry about that. So okay, so say for instance you weigh 120 pounds, you need 120 grams of protein. Pretty simple, right? So for the majority of people, that's going to be around about 20% of your calories. 30%, no more, no less for fat. That's kind of the given guideline for optimum everything, optimum hormones, and not getting too unhealthy, clogging up your arteries by putting more food or more fat in. So okay, so those are the basics that we need. So we got a macro breakdown of roughly 50% carbs, 20% protein, 30% fat. Bam, that's easy enough. Okay, what's next? So how do we do this on a budget? Way to do this on a budget is to 1, drink whole milk or chocolate milk. Okay, if you're not lactose intolerant, this is one of the best, one of the cheapest, and one of the easiest things to eat when you're bulking. If you get to the end of the day and you are 250 calories down and a little bit low on your protein, then you can go gulp down a full fat glass of milk. 500 mils is 250 calories. I can't remember how much protein, I think about 20 grams of protein, 20-25, so good amount of protein, great amount of calories for something that's just a drink. You swallow it down, it's really easy, there's nothing difficult or taxing about consuming that. So milk. It's been proven time and again that whole milk has the most benefits for guys trying to bulk up or women trying to bulk up, just putting weight on you. Okay, yes, you can go to skimmed milk, yes, you can go to semi-skimmed. If you go semi-skimmed, then, sorry, creeping out of the photo there, if you go semi-skimmed, then you will have slightly more protein, less fat, less calories, and skimmed again is the same, so more protein, less calories, less fat. So they are good in their own right. Like if you just need to get your protein up, great, go for the skimmed, but in general, drink the whole stuff. It's cheap, it's easy, you don't even have to cook it. Chocolate milk, even more calories, still high in protein, high in sugar. So yes, sugar is bad, but it's high in carbohydrates, essentially what I'm trying to say. And yes, it tastes fucking awesome, so drink chocolate milk and whole milk. Number 2, a carb is a carb for the most part. Now, you can get into the nitty-gritty of it and say that, sweet potatoes have more fibre than white potatoes, and, any vegetable is better than pasta or rice. Yes, I completely agree with that, but if you're trying to bulk up on a budget, I would say, and what I do, is stick to white potatoes because they're cheap, they come in bulk, they're easy, you can mash them, boil them, stick them in a stew, whatever you want to do. There is a way that everybody likes to eat a white potato, and it's great. It's full of carbs. That's going to be an easy source. Brown rice or white rice even, very cheap, very carb heavy, easy peasy. The only thing I would say is, in my experience, and again this is just based on what's happened to me, don't eat excessive amounts of rice, like more than one meal a day, because you'll end up with whole grain shit. And that sounds gross. What I mean by that is like whole grain mustard. Think about that, and then that's what your crap's going to look like. You've got all the little bits of rice husk and everything in there. It's not a good feeling, so don't eat too much rice. So I tend to stick to white potatoes. That's fine. Bread, if you really must. I'm not a big lover of bread, but if you can get some bread that's from like a reputable company that doesn't have too much extra crap in it, then again it's a great source of carbohydrates. Use butter, not like margarine or anything for your spread. It tends to be slightly higher in calories. It tastes better, and it's got a lot of fat in it. And again, no trans fats in butter, or very limited trans fats. So that's good, because trans fats we want to stay away from. Saturated, we don't give a shit. Eat loads of saturated. Don't eat loads of trans. So eggs, obviously high in protein. If you leave the yolks in, they're high in calories. So basically, and the other thing, of course, I always advocate beef over chicken. Yes, it's very high in fat, and that's great because it pumps up your calories for a real budget price. I mean, me personally, I can go out to like our local supermarkets. We've got a couple. We've got Sainsbury's, Asda, Tesco's. We've even got a Morrison's. We've got all the big UK supermarkets here, and I can tell you that I can go to any one of those and pick up 500 grams of beef mince for under £2. Now that ain't bad. Even if you get through one of those a day, 7 tubs, £14 just under. That's your whole week's worth of one meal of meat. That's pretty fucking awesome right there. So, that is good. Do that. So, beef, milk, potatoes, bread, butter, more milk, then some eggs, then some more milk. That's going to do it. So remember, work out your calories. Use something like MyFitnessPal. You don't have to eat the same stuff every day, but if you do, it just means you have to do less counting. But realistically, if you're on a budget, go out, buy a bulk bag of rice, bulk bag of potatoes. Those are probably going to last you 2-3 weeks. Maybe the rice might even last you a month or more. And then buy your veggies, your beef, your eggs, your milk, everything on a weekly basis, as obviously it's got a shorter shelf life. Simple. I did mention veggies there. Obviously, if you're bulking, you should get some veggies in. I've spoken to you before about what I tend to do, which is to drink liquid veggies. So I mush them down in a blender and just drink it, because it's easier than cooking it all the time and adding that extra roughage in. If you don't eat that many vegetables, please do take multivitamins at the very least, but do try to get your veggies in at least one meal every day. It's really not that hard. You should be doing it. Okay, so moving on swiftly to cutting. Holy Mother of God, I became a floating head. So sorry guys, so I recorded the whole video in one hit, and then for some reason when I uploaded it, part of it hadn't recorded, so tagging this on to the end. So obviously I've just spoken about bulking, so let's talk about cutting briefly on a budget. So let's go through the things that we need for cutting, so the basics. So 1, we need to be in a calorie deficit. Now that's an obvious. You need less calories than you need to maintain your weight to lose your weight. So whatever you've heard from any diet fad or anything is simply not true. There is only one way to reduce your body fat or your body weight, and that is not by eating yogurt, it's not by not eating carbs, it's not by anything. It's simply by having less calories than you need to maintain your weight, and then you will lose weight because you'll burn off your body weight as energy. Your body has no option but to use the energy that it is required to run it, whether that comes from itself or not. So, simple, calorie deficit. Your protein you want to be high, so I would say up to about 30%. Fats, still 30%. And carbs, about 40 then, to get to 100. Now the reason I say that is Fats you still want at 100% because, 100% of your calories from fats, 30% from fats, because it is the fats again which regulate your hormone levels. Hormones can be responsible for storing fat and for burning fat. So if your hormones aren't balanced and adequately set up, then you won't have the best environment in your body for burning off fat and getting lean. Okay, so you need that. And again, as anyone trying to cut down, you want to hold on to as much lean mass as you can. And again, keeping your sex hormones high, so if you're a man, testosterone, if you're a woman, estrogen, keeping that high is going to prevent you from losing muscle. Okay, so simple. Fats still 30%. The reason we raise proteins up is again to hold on to lean mass. If you're in a calorie deficit, your body will not always just burn fat. Sometimes it will try to burn muscle or protein for fuel if it has to. So if you allow yourself extra protein, up to maybe 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, you will be ensuring an adequate supply of amino acids so that your body can keep all the muscle it has and still use protein as fuel if it wishes. So that's going to prevent you from losing as much muscle as you would if your protein dropped. Carbs can stay at 40% because obviously if we wanted to lower carbs, we would be lowering, we'd be we would be raising other things, so we'd be having too much fat or too much protein. We already know protein can put a strain on the kidneys, which we don't want, and we know fat can obviously clog the arteries, etc., etc., so we don't want that either. So 30, 30, 40 is what I would say in general. So how do we do this on a budget? The most obvious thing is to eat a lot of veggies, green leafy vegetables, things like broccoli, sprouts, the more fibrous things that fill you up. These are going to be your best friend, big plates of these. Why? Because they're fibrous and dense without many calories, so you can eat them. They will pack up your stomach, make you feel full for a long amount of time, and you won't be taking in many calories. So like a whole plate of broccoli is probably like 40, 60 calories, whereas a third of a plate of potatoes might be a couple of hundred calories. So you see there's that massive difference between them. So eat loads and loads of veggies. Frozen veggies are of course generally the cheapest, but fresh veggies are fine. The only thing I would say is if you get fresh veggies, try and find a local greengrocer and buy them like an hour before they close, because normally they will sell off stock cheaper at the end of the day, so you get yourself a good deal. The only other thing is make sure you cook them. Of course, the problem with shopping on a budget is if you buy fresh things and then you don't eat them all, they will just be wasted. So then you have to buy again, and that's really not conducive with a budget. So if you want frozen, go frozen. There's a lot of different selection out there. Tins I generally avoid unless it's like peas or sweet corn. Maybe make sure you get the ones that don't have added sugar or salt, just water and the vegetable. But in general, frozen is fine. Fresh is great. Eat as much veg as you can. Now your protein options, I would go for a lean turkey mince. I would go for turkey and chicken thigh and breast, etc. In general, in most shops, turkey is actually cheaper than chicken unless it's around Christmas. So I would say turkey 90% of the year, and then in December eat chicken. You can have some beef, but remember your portions will be much smaller because the high fat content means there's a lot of calories in beef, and you need your calories to be lower to stay in this calorie deficit. So eat things like turkey mince, turkey, chicken, still pretty cheap, and some beef, some eggs when you can. Obviously drop down to like a skimmed milk or a semi-skimmed milk to drop those calories again. Your carb sources can be literally the same. You're just going to be using a smaller amount of them. So the only real difference is that you're eating a shitload of vegetables, because that's going to fill you up. Eat a lot of vegetables, drink a lot of water. You're going to stay fuller for longer, you're not going to get hungry, and potentially even space your meals out. So yeah, on a budget, loads of vegetables, stay with rice, potatoes and pasta for your carbs, And turkey, I say turkey is cheap all year round, apart from when it gets towards Christmas. People want turkey for Christmas, so the prices shoot up. But in general, it will be cheaper than chicken in most supermarkets. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's the 2 ways of eating to lean out or to bulk up. How to do it on a budget. As I say, I think eating that way in the UK, you could, if you're on a cut, probably live for £30 to £40 a week for a single person's food. If you're on a bulk, depending on your size and how many calories you're putting in, anywhere from £40 to about £60. So you're only roughly looking at roughly looking at like £200 per month on food. And most people can afford that comfortably. And if you think that that's expensive and you maybe now spend like £120, £150 on food, think about how you can cut out the McDonald's. Think about how you can cut out the curries on the weekend and a couple of extra pints, and then hey presto, you realise your food bill was never £150. It was more like £220, £240 with all the meals out and takeaways, which are doing nothing for your health. So realistically, that's the way to go, people. So one other food that I'll mention for whichever you're doing, porridge oats. Cheap as shit. Full of carbs. They even have a little protein, fibre. They're good for you, man. So eat some porridge oats if you're the kind of guy or girl who likes a hot cereal. Eat some fucking porridge oats. They're cheap, man. You can spend like 90p for a kilo of porridge oats. That's going to last you. So yeah, that's it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Comment below with anything you want to see, and I will make a video especially for you. So yeah, see you in the next video. Peace out, tubers.